Hi there, welcome back to the Kids Afloat channel. I've got a different story for you today. I've been asked by quite a few of our lovely viewers exactly why we go dinghy cruising. And the reality is we kind of break the mould. We're not your typical dinghy cruisers that you see on YouTube. In reality, there aren't many other families out there who do this. But you know what? We're on a mission to change that. So I thought I'd run you through who we are, what we do, and why we do it, so that you can get an understanding of why the sea is so important to the Kids Afloat, and to me. My name's Holly. I'm the Kids Afloat mum, and I was so very lucky growing up. I had parents who spent all of their spare time on and around the water in New Zealand. Well, here's some pics from way back in the 80s and 90s when we progressed all the way from a Hartley 16 up to a Nolex 25 with about every trailer sailor you could imagine in between. And you know, I loved it. I got to have a little Optimus myself, which my dad helped me to do up, and it was just so much fun. So fast forward a few years, and here we are living in Tasmania. We are a family of 4, plus 2 dogs, 3 cats, and an innumerable number of chickens. And we absolutely love getting out and about. You won't see the Kids Afloat dad, Steve, on the dinghies though. He has a little bit of an aversion to small boats, but we do have a bigger one. And although we love our bigger one, the truth is that the kids and I love getting away on the dinghies. And it's such an amazing skill building thing for us. So we kind of, a while ago, decided to sell our trailer sailors and to move back into dinghies before we even thought about getting Hermione of the Derwent, our big keel boat. And a few years back was a bit of a darker time for us as a family, I suppose. There were a lot of stresses going on. And I sometimes dreamed about going and living aboard a boat somewhere and just sailing off into the sunset. The reality of it is, though, that we have fantastic careers, the kids have great schools, and we have a great life here in Tassie. We wouldn't want to leave this. So how can you very simply and easily incorporate boats into your life without a lot of money, without a lot of skill or knowledge to begin with? And how can you use those little boats just to have fun and get those kids out and about and off the screens? Well, that was kind of why I bought this little mirror. This little mirror was our first boat. She is absolutely gorgeous. And to be fair, I did actually get the kids a sabo before I got the mirror. I wanted them to learn some basic sailing skills. But they actually didn't really love some of the clubs we tried. And my goodness, we tried a lot of clubs. There was such a focus and a push on having to race. And my guys just are not competitive kids. They really want to sail to relax. And that's kind of where I sit too. Although to be fair, I quite like a bit of a race. So what we decided to do was to just start going out ourselves, and we connected with as many different organisations as we could, and gee, we met some lovely people. That was a little bit different from my experience of trying to get into the big boat market. It is absolutely true that you don't have to have a lot of money to start sailing. There are clubs everywhere with keel boats screaming out for crew, and they are so willing to teach you. And you know, that's awesome, except if you need to find childcare. And I really struggled to find childcare. I don't know about you, but down here, going out and leaving the kids with babysitters means you have to find an extra $100 or more just to do something fun. There's also that whole thing that really sailing for me is so much about family and family connection, and always has been. And I don't think that leaving the kids behind to go sailing all of the time is the answer. We were so lucky that we actually managed to find a club that the family fits into. However, then we had another challenge, and that was that our little guy, who was too old for opties but too small for solo sailing and sabres, had nothing to sail in. And that, my friends, is where the herons and the mirrors have come in for us. These little boats were designed a long time ago, and some of them were built a long time ago, but they are purposely for family sailing. And it's lovely because you can sail with your kid. I mean, what other sport can you actually do with your child for years? And the good thing about it is too that a lot of children get to sail together as well, and it's just fun. You know, they can hang around with their mates, they can take their mates out sailing, and they don't have to do it alone in a big scary sea. It's just great. So I really think dinghies for us filled a gap. I could teach the kid that was too big for the sailing schools, and I could also be a safety zone for my little one who was a bit scared of dinghies and of sailing. And it's been a nice compromise. And like I said before, we have just met the most delightful community. It's been wonderful. So I suppose for us as well, and this is a bit of a sensitive subject, but I know that there's been a lot of ladies who watch our channel who have felt similar things to myself, in that it can be really daunting for women to get into sailing. I know there are a lot of absolutely awesome women who sail programs out there, or women on the water programs. They are awesome, and gee, I've loved having fun with those ladies. But for everyday sailing, it's a bit tricky because you can't really rely on other people to organise you. I would have to say that the majority of the fellas who we've met who have been into dinghy sailing or been into dinghy cruising in any way have been utterly delightful. And I really have to say I have not experienced the barriers as a lady breaking into sailing in dinghies as I have in bigger boats. Even with my bigger keel boat, some of my lovely neighbours in the marinas that I've been in just don't believe she's my boat. They often ask me where my husband is and when will he come to the boat, and is it actually even my boat? So, you know, I get it. There are barriers. But I really do think dinghies are an answer to that. I just haven't come up against that with our dinghies. I think too, the nice thing about dinghy sailing for me has been simply that it is just easy to get them out on the water for half a day or a day, and it's easy because they're simple. There's no big costs involved. There's no kind of big build-up that you need. You know, if you muck up, you end up in the water. Yes, it's true. You get a wet bottom sometimes when you're dinghy sailing, but that's kind of half the fun. So you can build up your skills and you can start small and end up on bigger trips. We started very simply with a couple of hours pottering around the little tiny harbour at Geilston Bay down here, and have slowly built up to a big camping cruise where we went up into the big lakes and stayed in camping boats and then sailed during the day. So it has been a growth for us, and it is so nice to learn alongside your kids and to model to them that it is possible to get out there and to do things that you think are hard or daunting. Because really, when you're a team and you work together, you can come up with the answers. So the flexibility in skill level, in cost, in knowledge, in the ability to explore calm, sheltered inland waterways instead of having to face the big ocean, it's broken down a lot of barriers for us. So look, that's kind of my wrap up. That's why we love dinghies, and that's why, even though we have a keel boat that's come about recently, I would never ever get rid of our dinghies. I can't wait to pop our herons, which are the dinghies that we've gone with now. We've got 2 of them coming. Wait for that one. That's going to be a great video. We have 2 herons that when they're finished and restored next summer, we're going to load them onto my trailer and we are going to the mainland. We're going to cross the ditch and see if we can find some wooden boat festivals outside of Hobart. It's going to be awesome. I guess another thing I didn't think of before is I love it that the kids can have some ownership as well. They love having their own boat. They adore their dinghies. And it is so nice to see them learning alongside me, to be fair, about how to maintain them and take responsibility for these things and care for them. And to take responsibility for the very first time they muck up. Luca, when he was sailing Waiwiri, they broke the rudder. And so now he has to take responsibility for the fact that the rudder's broken. I mean, he didn't actually break it himself, but it is broken. It's his boat. He has to fix it. That's fantastic. He's 13. Where else can you learn these skills? I think that's really important, particularly because he's well before the age where you need a car or anything else like that. So yes, flexibility, learning, new skills. The nice thing I've found too, owning a keelboat and dinghies now, not that I have had larger boats before, but not quite as large as this one. Dinghies are so easy to maintain. It really is just end of the season, bit of a spruce up, maybe a lick of paint and some sanding, compared to some very serious maintenance required for keelboats. So if you are a lady, or if you've never sailed before, or if you're thinking you might like to get your kids on the water and you want to take a little nibble into the sailing pie, absolutely please consider a dinghy. And if you are into cruising and you want to go and have a look around, go and tap into your local club and tell them what you want to do. There'll be social sailing you can get in on. You don't have to race. It is good to try and do some of the learn to sail stuff, and racing is a very good way to learn how to handle your boat. There's no doubt, but you don't have to do it. Please don't feel pressured. It's good to just go and dip your toe in the water slowly. And there's probably a dinghy cruising group somewhere around you, especially if you're fortunate enough to live around Sydney. The Sydney Raid group, my goodness, they get up to some adventures, and they're so lovely. We're even going to go up to Sydney in a few weeks and meet them, because we're very, very keen on talking to some other boat nerds. But gosh, if you're in Hobart, please get in touch. We love cruising with other people, and we'd welcome more and more people to our cruising team. So get in touch, get out there. You don't have to even buy a boat. You can go borrow a club boat, or hey, come and borrow one of ours. And hopefully we'll see you on the water.